Is Doctor Doom in the MCU, now played by Robert Downey Jr., after the power of Loki? Doctor Doom's debut in the MCU has now just been confirmed, where he will be played again by none other than Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. For years, fans have understood that this character was one of the largest gaping holes in the MCU, and Doom's absence has been one of the largest missed opportunities. Now, he is finally getting his proper big screen treatment in the mainline universe, leaving us to wonder what may be on the agenda. Well, today, let's break it down, talk about some of our favorite personal theories regarding where Doom may end up, and exactly the power that he seeks in likely Loki, the god of stories. As we briefly mentioned in a previous video, we believe that Doom's goal will be to achieve the power of Loki, and that Doom will attempt to steal the throne and the title of the god of stories. The reason we believe this is because of God Emperor Doom in the comics. In none other than the very same Secret Wars comic series that's being adapted, Doom and Strange are two of the only survivors of a dying multiverse, and they discovered the true cause of the multiverse's destruction. It's eventually revealed that the Beyonders were behind the attack that left the multiverse in ruin, without a single surviving timeline remaining. Not content to simply destroy the Beyonders and work on revitalizing the multiverse, Doom actually stole their power for himself, and used this cosmic foothold to stitch together an amalgam reality known as Battleworld. This domain was populated by only a handful of multiversal survivors, each divided into their own regions to be led by a baron or a baroness, and the ultimate monarch to rule them as the God Emperor, Doom. As of now, the MCU has not debuted any depiction of the Beyonders, and doing so may be rushed with Doomsday and Secret Wars right around the corner. And for this reason, we believe that the MCU will have to find a proxy. If the MCU needs to find a figure to assume the same role that the Beyonders did in the comics, then Loki is the most fitting candidate. Right now, he is in charge of protecting and nurturing the multiverse. He can revitalize dying timelines, rewrite reality as he sees fit, and weave the fabric of the multiverse into whatever pattern he chooses. For all intents and purposes, Loki is the god of the multiverse, and is arguably the most powerful being in the multiverse that we know. And because of that, we have a very good idea of where Doom would go to achieve that power. And a confrontation between Doom and Loki is inevitable. In the comics, the confrontation between Doom and the Beyonders happened after the multiverse had already been destroyed, and if the MCU is going to stay along this track, then that would mean that this encounter would probably take place at the end of Avengers Doomsday, or as late as even Secret Wars. If the title Doomsday is meant to imply not just the inclusion of Doctor Doom, but the actual end of the world, then it's entirely likely that Avengers 5 will end with the destruction of Earth 616, which could possibly even happen at the hands of Doom. For this, there are two main ideas. Option 1 is that the entirety of Avengers Doomsday consists of various Avengers trying to stop Doom from getting to Loki, with this being exactly how Infinity War was structured as an attempt to barricade Thanos from obtaining all of the stones. If Doom learns of Loki's existence, then it may be up to the Avengers to stop him from breaking the confines of the multiverse and getting to Loki's throne. If they fail, much like they did in Infinity War, then instead of just having half of all life being snapped away, all of existence on a multiversal scale might be rewritten in the image of a megalomaniacal egomaniac. If option 1 ends up being the case, then it could actually be Doom who ends up destroying the multiverse in order to restructure it exactly how he wants it. He may actually see himself doing this for noble purposes, such as stopping the army of Kangs from completely eradicating the multiverse without any sort of grand plan or structure. The Kangs are agents of destruction and chaos, and their wars leave no survivors. Doom doesn't want complete calamity, because if everyone is dead, then there is no one to rule, and more importantly, there is no one to worship Doom in all of his glory. If Doom wants to get ahead of the Kangs, he might need to wipe all of them out by trying to reach Loki, and this would not only allow Doom to be the main villain, but it would put the Avengers into conflict with Kang as well. We foresee that the Avengers will have to fight their way through several Kang variants in order to reach Doom, if they want to move forward with any of the Kang saga at all, which we currently don't know. If they do though, this would allow the Kangs to wreak havoc on everyone and everything, giving us insight into what timelines controlled by Kangs really look like, and still allow Doom to remain as the final villain. Option 2 is that the idea that in much like the comics, Doom only finds Loki after the multiverse is destroyed. If this is true, then something else which would probably end up being the Kangs would destroy everything else, and then in the aftermath, Doom finds the ruined throne of Loki and steals the power. We however think that this is the less likely of the two options for a few reasons. First off, it would be unwise to name Avengers 5 after Doom, only to relegate him to a more passive role while the Kangs remain the main threat. We know that the MCU is working to drift away from the Kang saga, so using them as physical challengers for the Avengers to face is one thing, but making them the main villain is probably not a good idea. Secondly, this would put the weight of defeating Loki onto someone else, dampening the weight of seeing Doom take over the role as the god of stories. Loki has taken on the responsibility of protecting the multiverse, and this is a job that he seems to be taking very seriously. He is no longer the mischievous troublemaker, the trickster god who only lived to cause problems. Now, he is a mature version of the god we once knew, and he will not let the multiverse slip away easily. If the entirety of the multiverse, the very roots and branches of the tree itself are dying, then Loki will almost certainly step in to stop it. He will do everything in his power to protect time from dying out, especially on such a massive scale as the Secret War story in the comic. Remember, Secret Wars was not just the destruction of Earth 616, nor was it the downfall of multiple timelines. It was rather the death of the entire multiverse, the death of everything. At the end, the multiverse no longer existed, and we don't see any reality in which Loki willingly would let this happen. So therefore, in order for Secret Wars to occur, Loki has to be removed from the picture. As far as we know, the only way to remove Loki from his role as Guardian of the Multiverse and God of Stories is to defeat him, which would probably fall onto the shoulders of Dr. Doom. This would also cement Doom as the single most powerful threat that the Marvel Universe has ever seen, the man who killed the god of the multiverse. If he spends the events of Avengers Doomsday searching for Loki, to the disdain of the Avengers, then he may end up fighting his way across the bounds of time and space itself. He may be forced to contend with any Avengers who would dare to face him before arriving at Loki's feet. Now, we don't know if he's going to be doing this just for power, or if he thinks that there is a more noble reason behind Doom's plan. But regardless of why he's here, we believe that he will end up in Avengers 5 facing down Loki. This would allow Doom to not just create Battleworld in his image, but the very multiverse itself. He would willingly create his own single reality reminiscent of the sacred timeline, only a much more corrupt and an evil baseline. And in the MCU, this has already happened. This is the same pattern that we've seen being played out with He Who Remains. At the end of Loki Season 1, we learned that this is not the first time the multiverse has died, and that the last time this happened, one lone Kang variant rose to power as the only survivor. He Who Remains created the sacred timeline in order to keep the universe safe, and having Doom be the one to corrupt this pattern may be a dark mirror of He Who Remains' original journey. This may make Doom the next He Who Remains in a sense, with Battleworld being the new sacred timeline, and at the end of both of those journeys, we know that the multiverse is no more. Eventually, however, the multiverse is always reborn, as it has been for eons, and so we know that whatever the case may be, Doom will eventually be defeated, but Loki and several other heroes may be casualties along the way. But anyway friends, what do you think of the idea that Doom actually wants Loki's power for himself in order to become the God Emperor? Do you think that Doom has the ability or the mind to kill Loki? And how do you think the events of Avengers Doomsday will play out? If you'd like more theories and updates on the MCU moving forward, be sure to smash that subscribe button, and I hope you're having a great day.